Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked into a room and everyone turned to look at one woman? Not because she was the most beautiful, not because she was loud, but because something about her just pulled people in. That's not luck. It's not a coincidence. It's a presence, and it's completely learnable. Hi ladies, welcome. Today we're cutting through the fluff and diving into the real truth about what makes a woman truly captivating. And it has nothing to do with chasing someone, changing yourself, or playing by rules that were never designed for you. In fact, most women are taught that in order to be loved, they have to try harder, do more, look perfect, or act a certain way. But the truth is, the more you chase, the more love runs. And the women who attract the deepest, most magnetic connections, they're doing the opposite. This video isn't about surface level tricks. It's about shifting the energy you carry and the message you unconsciously send before you ever speak a word. So if you're tired of wondering why your efforts aren't working, if you're done second guessing your worth, and if you're ready to stop chasing and start attracting, stay with me. Because what you're about to hear may completely change how you show up in dating, in love, and in life. Let's talk about what really makes you unforgettable. When we talk about what makes someone captivating, most people immediately think of surface traits, beauty, style, maybe even charisma. But what actually creates deep, lasting attraction goes far beneath what the eye can see. It's psychological, it's energetic, and once you understand it, you can embody it authentically, without faking a thing. Here's the truth. Humans are wired to respond to emotional energy more than appearances. You've probably met someone who on paper had it all, looks, success, charm, but something just didn't connect. Then there's that person who walks into the room, says very little, yet people are drawn to them. Why? Because we don't just see people, we feel them. Psychologists call this emotional contagion, the phenomenon where we unconsciously absorb the emotional energy of those around us. If a woman carries an energy of calm confidence, openness, and grounded self-worth, people feel it before she speaks. It's magnetic. On the flip side, if someone is filled with anxiety, desperation, or the need to prove themselves, that tension is also felt. And no matter how perfect they look, it creates a kind of emotional static that repels rather than attracts. Being captivating isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about peeling back everything you've been told you should be and returning to your natural state of presence. And presence is incredibly powerful. When you're fully in the moment, not performing, not chasing, just being, you become unforgettable. Men, especially those emotionally attuned and looking for real connection, pick up on this. They're not just looking for someone beautiful, they're looking for someone safe, someone centered, someone who knows who she is, not in a loud, dominant way, but in a quiet, embodied, unshakable way. This kind of attraction can't be faked, but it can absolutely be developed. And the first step is becoming aware of what energy you're projecting, not just with your words, but with your silence, your gaze, your stillness. That's where true magnetism begins. Because when you stop trying to be captivating, and you simply allow yourself to be fully present, that's when everything starts to shift. Let's talk about feminine energy, a phrase that's thrown around a lot, but often misunderstood or watered down. When people hear feminine energy, they tend to think of softness, submission, or being passive. But that's not what it truly means. Feminine energy is not weakness. It's not playing small. And it's definitely not about suppressing your strength to make others comfortable. At its core, feminine energy is about receptivity, not in a passive way, but in a deeply powerful, intuitive way. It's the energy of flow, creativity, emotion, nurturing, sensuality, and presence. While masculine energy is about doing, achieving, and directing, feminine energy is about being, feeling, expressing, and magnetizing. A woman fully in her feminine doesn't chase love, she attracts it, not through manipulation or performance, but by being in alignment with herself. She leads with her heart, not out of desperation, but from a place of deep inner trust. Trust in who she is. Trust that she doesn't need to force connection. She is the connection. When you're in your feminine energy, you're not trying to prove anything. You're not living from your head, overthinking every move, or constantly trying to control outcomes. You're in your body. You're grounded. You're emotionally aware. And that self-awareness naturally draws in people who want to connect with you on a deeper level. One of the most captivating things about a woman in her feminine energy is her ability to be open without being unprotected. She sets boundaries with grace. She expresses her desires without fear. She doesn't dim her light to be more digestible, and that confidence is magnetic. So many women have been taught to shut this part of themselves down, to survive, to succeed, to be taken seriously. But the truth is, your feminine energy isn't something to be fixed or hidden. It's something to be reclaimed. It's your source of power, not your weakness. And when you begin to honor it, not just in how you dress or speak, but in how you show up in relationships, in how you trust, in how you receive, you don't have to chase love anymore. Love starts finding you, because feminine energy doesn't need to force anything. It invites it. Confidence is one of the most powerful and misunderstood forces when it comes to attraction. A lot of people assume confidence means being loud, bold, the center of attention, or constantly self-promoting. But real confidence isn't noisy. It doesn't need to prove itself. And that's exactly what makes it so captivating. When a woman is confident in who she is, it creates an undeniable energy, not just because she believes in herself, but because she's safe within herself. She doesn't shrink to fit someone else's expectations. She doesn't audition for approval. She knows that her worth isn't up for negotiation, and that silent, grounded knowing is magnetic. Now, here's what's really interesting about how confidence affects attraction. It completely shifts the dynamic. Instead of you chasing validation, you naturally become the one who sets the tone in any interaction. You stop performing and start connecting. You stop asking, "Am I enough for them?" and start asking, "Are they aligned with the life I want to build?" That shift in mindset changes everything. People often think attraction is about appearance. And yes, physical attraction plays a role. But confidence changes how you carry yourself. It changes how you speak, how you make eye contact, how you take up space. You could walk into a room without saying a word and still draw people in, because your energy speaks louder than your words. And what many women don't realize is that men, especially emotionally intelligent, grounded men, are deeply drawn to confident women. Not women who are perfect, not women who have all the answers, but women who are comfortable in their imperfections. Confidence doesn't mean having it all together. It means owning your story, flaws and all, and not letting those flaws define your value. Here's the key. Real confidence doesn't come from what you do. It comes from how you relate to yourself. It's born from self-respect, from keeping your word to yourself, from knowing that even when things don't go your way, you still have your own back. When you carry that level of self-assurance, it creates emotional safety. And emotional safety is incredibly attractive. It tells others, consciously or not, this woman isn't going to lose herself to win someone's love. She's not afraid of being alone. She's here because she chooses to be, not because she needs to be. That's what makes confident women irresistible. Not because they're perfect, but because they're real, grounded, clear, and unapologetically themselves. When your confidence is rooted in truth, not performance, you become a magnet, not just for love, but for respect, alignment, and authentic connection. Because confidence isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about no longer betraying yourself to be chosen. Let's talk about something that doesn't get nearly enough attention when it comes to attraction. Emotional magnetism. It's not something you can fake. It's not something you can wear. And yet, it's one of the most powerful silent signals you'll ever send out. Emotional magnetism is that unspoken energy you carry when you're emotionally connected to yourself. It's the way you feel to be around. It's the sense of warmth, depth, and presence that draws people in without effort. Men may not always be able to articulate it, but they feel it instantly. It's the difference between someone who looks good on the outside and someone who makes you feel safe, seen, and grounded on the inside. Here's the truth. Attraction isn't just about how you look. It's about how people feel in your presence. When you're emotionally magnetic, you create a space where others can relax and drop their guard. That's rare, and in a world full of filters, games, and performances, emotional authenticity is a breath of fresh air. So what creates emotional magnetism? It starts with emotional availability, being in tune with your feelings, able to express them and not ashamed of them. You're not pushing things down or pretending to be fine. You're present, you're honest, you're real, and that emotional presence makes others feel like they can be real too. Another piece of this is emotional regulation. When you can hold space for yourself, even in moments of discomfort, you radiate stability. You're not looking for someone else to fix you, complete you, or rescue you. That energy tells a man, I am whole, and I invite you to meet me at the same level. And that invitation is magnetic to someone who's emotionally ready. Men who are emotionally aware don't just want beauty, they want connection. They want a woman who can feel, and who can let them feel too. Emotional magnetism opens that door. It's not about being perfect or overly polished. It's about being present, soft in your truth, strong in your boundaries, and unafraid to be seen. You don't have to chase or convince anyone when you're emotionally magnetic. You attract by showing up as your full self, not needing anything, yet open to everything. That's the energy that lingers in someone's mind long after the conversation is over. That's what makes you unforgettable. And maybe the most important part, emotional magnetism isn't something you learn to do. It's something you remember you already have. When you stop hiding, when you stop performing, when you drop the mask and come back to your real self, that energy shines through. And it speaks louder than anything you could say. Because in the end, it's not about how you look or what you say. It's about how people feel when they're near you. That's the silent signal. And that's what they remember. Now let's get real about something that's hard to hear, but absolutely necessary. There are certain patterns, often unconscious, that push love away, even when we say we want it more than anything. And the worst part? Most people have no idea they're doing it. The first mistake is chasing instead of receiving. When you're constantly initiating, proving your worth, trying to win someone over, or fixing every little miscommunication to keep the connection alive, that's chasing. It sends the message, I need you to choose me so I can feel secure. And emotionally mature partners feel that energy. It creates imbalance. It feels like pressure. Real attraction can't grow in that dynamic. True love flows when you're open to receive it, not desperately running after it. Another mistake is self-abandonment, shrinking who you are to be more appealing, agreeable, or easier to love. Maybe you downplay your needs. You hold back your truth. You smile when something hurts. And on the surface, it looks like you're easygoing, but underneath, resentment builds. And when you suppress your authentic self, you disconnect from your emotional power, the very thing that makes you magnetic. Next is trying to be perfect. The curated version of yourself, always upbeat, flawless, never vulnerable, might feel safe, but it keeps people at arm's length. Perfection is intimidating, not inviting. People fall in love with your humanity, not your highlight reel. When you never show real emotion, you signal that you're unavailable, even if that's not your intention. Let's also talk about unhealed fear of abandonment. If you're constantly scanning for signs someone might leave, questioning their every word, or emotionally shutting down the moment you feel uncertain, it creates a push-pull dynamic. That anxiety becomes the third person in the relationship. It's not your fault. It likely comes from past wounds, but if left unhealed, it sabotages connection. Then there's overgiving. You think love means doing more, being more, giving endlessly, but overgiving is often a strategy to earn worth, and it can make others feel like they're in debt to you, rather than connected with you. Real intimacy requires space to receive, not just to give. Finally, one of the biggest mistakes, choosing potential over reality. Falling in love with someone's someday version, while ignoring who they are right now. That keeps you in emotionally unavailable cycles, constantly investing in people who aren't actually capable of meeting you. You can't build a future on hope alone. It needs to be rooted in reality. The bottom line, these patterns don't mean you're broken. They just mean you're human. But if you want to attract love that's real and reciprocal, you have to be willing to see where you've been unknowingly pushing it away. Awareness is everything, because once you see it, you can change it. And from that place, love has room to find you and stay. So now let's bring it all together. The energy, the confidence, the emotional presence into what I call the magnetic woman formula. And no, this isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about being deeply in tune with who you are and letting that do the attracting. A magnetic woman doesn't chase love. She doesn't have to. Her energy does the inviting, without her needing to control, push, or manipulate anything. She understands that attraction isn't something she creates by force. It's something she allows by being in alignment with her truth. And that's what draws the right people in. The first part of the formula is self-ownership. A magnetic woman knows her strengths, her softness, her desires, her edges, and she claims all of it. She's not afraid of her own depth. She doesn't need to shrink to be loved, and she doesn't need to harden to be respected. She owns her story, even the messy parts, and she carries it with grace, not shame. The second piece is emotional openness without emotional neediness. She allows herself to feel deeply, but she doesn't rely on someone else to stabilize her emotional world. She knows how to hold space for herself first. That kind of emotional responsibility is rare, and it creates a natural sense of safety that's irresistible to emotionally available partners. The third part is energetic boundaries. She doesn't overextend, overgive, or overstay in situations that deplete her. Her no is just as powerful as her yes. She doesn't abandon herself just to avoid being alone. That quiet self-respect communicates something powerful: I choose me, even if it costs me you. And ironically, that's the exact energy that makes others want to rise up and meet her where she is. The fourth piece is embodied presence. She's not constantly in her head, overanalyzing or planning how to be liked. She's in her body. She listens. She feels. She's here. That grounded, calm presence is magnetic in a world where everyone's rushing, performing, or distracted. Just being around her feels like a reset. And lastly, she carries a sense of trust. Not naive hope, but deep trust in herself. Trust that she's not here to beg for love or settle for crumbs. Trust that if something doesn't work out, it's making space for something better. Trust that love isn't something she has to earn. It's something she attracts by being who she really is. The magnetic woman isn't about being perfect. She's not flawless, and she doesn't pretend to be. What makes her magnetic is her wholeness. She's not waiting to be completed. She already is. And from that place of fullness, love doesn't complete her, it complements her. And that's the real secret. You become magnetic the moment you stop reaching outward and come home to yourself. Because the woman who's at peace with who she is, she becomes unforgettable. Let's talk about one of the most common and quietly damaging patterns in relationships: overgiving. And not just giving gifts or time. I'm talking about giving your energy, your peace, your emotional labor, your availability, often without even realizing it. Overgiving usually starts from a good place. You care deeply, you want to make the relationship work, and you believe that love means showing up fully. But when that giving isn't matched, or when it starts to cost you your well-being, it becomes a form of self-abandonment. The truth is, many women overgive not because they're too kind, but because they're hoping that giving more will secure love. Somewhere along the way, we were taught, directly or indirectly, that love is earned. That if we're just more patient, more understanding, more helpful, more forgiving, they'll see our worth and love us back. But that's not love, that's performance. And the cost is high: exhaustion, resentment, imbalance, and worst of all, attracting people who are comfortable taking but never fully giving back. So how do you stop overgiving? It starts with pausing and asking yourself a powerful question. Am I doing this because it feels good to give, or because I'm afraid of what will happen if I don't? That one question can reveal whether your giving is coming from love or fear. Next, learn to notice when you're giving as a strategy. Are you always the first to initiate plans, fix problems, smooth over arguments, or emotionally carry the weight of the relationship? That's not love. That's emotional labor. And when it's one-sided, it becomes emotional depletion. Healthy love is reciprocal. It flows both ways. When you stop overgiving, you create space to see clearly. Is this person actually capable of showing up for me? Or are they only comfortable when I'm the one doing all the work? You also need to normalize receiving. So many women feel guilt around receiving compliments, help, affection, even time. But receiving is not weakness. It's not laziness. It's not selfish. It's a necessary part of any balanced connection. Let yourself be poured into. Let others show effort. Let someone meet you. And here's the hardest part. Sometimes when you stop overgiving, people will leave. Not because you did anything wrong, but because they were only ever interested in what you gave, not in who you are. Let them go. That's not loss, that's clarity. In the end, love that is real, safe, and sustainable does not require you to abandon yourself. It honors your boundaries, it respects your energy, it feels nourishing, not draining. So if you've been stuck in a cycle of overgiving, this is your permission to stop, not to become cold, but to become conscious. You deserve a relationship where you don't have to earn your place by sacrificing your soul. If you've made it this far, take a breath, because that alone says something powerful about you. You're not here for surface level answers. You're not here to play games or become someone else to be loved. You're here because deep down you know that you're meant for more connection, more clarity, more self-respect, and more aligned love. So let's bring everything home. The truth is, there's no perfect formula, no one-size-fits-all trick that guarantees love. But what's always true is this: the most magnetic relationships begin when you return to you. When you stop searching outward and start reconnecting inward. When love is no longer something you chase, but something that flows from how deeply you're willing to see yourself. Being captivating has never been about pretending to be high value. It's about recognizing that you already are. It's about making decisions from self-worth instead of fear. It's about choosing to no longer overextend yourself just to be chosen by people who don't have the capacity to hold you. That's not empowerment, that's survival. And you're here to thrive. The next step isn't about becoming someone new. It's about peeling back everything you're not. Letting go of the stories that told you you're too much, too emotional, too sensitive, too demanding. Because the truth, those parts of you, the soft, the strong, the intuitive, the passionate, are not flaws. They're your power. So as you move forward, I want you to ask yourself, what am I no longer available for? What kind of love am I calling in? And most importantly, how can I start giving that love to myself first? Start small. Choose one boundary you'll honor. One need you'll stop minimizing. One part of yourself you'll stop apologizing for. One moment this week where you catch yourself overgiving and choose to pause instead. That's how the shift begins. Not overnight, but in small, consistent choices that add up to an entirely different reality. Remember, you are not here to beg for love. You are not here to be almost enough for people who can't see you. You are here to be fully, completely, undeniably yourself, and to attract the kind of love that sees, honors, and reciprocates. Because when you embody your truth, when you show up in your fullness, when you stop auditioning and start owning your presence, the people who are aligned with your soul can't help but feel it. They're drawn to it. They recognize it. And the rest, they fall away. As they should. So keep showing up. Keep softening. Keep choosing yourself, not in theory, but in action. Because the moment you start living like you are the prize, the world and love will begin to reflect that truth right back to you. You are magnetic, not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Now go out there and let the world feel it. Before we wrap up, here's a little bonus tip that many people overlook, and it can truly transform how you attract love and connect with others. The bonus tip is this: practice radical self-acceptance every single day. Radical self-acceptance means embracing every part of yourself, the beautiful, the messy, the complicated, the vulnerable, without judgment or conditions. It means choosing to love yourself even on your worst days, not just your best. Because here's the truth: when you stop resisting who you are and start embracing it fully, your energy shifts in a way that's impossible to ignore. You see, love isn't about being perfect or having it all figured out. It's about being authentic. And authenticity only shows up when you give yourself permission to be exactly who you are, flaws and all. When you accept yourself deeply, you stop fearing rejection, and you stop trying to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. That freedom, it's magnetic. So how do you start practicing radical self-acceptance? It can be as simple as looking in the mirror each morning and saying, "I am enough as I am." Or journaling honestly about what parts of yourself you've been hiding. Or gently reminding yourself that making mistakes doesn't make you less worthy of love. It's a practice, not a perfect destination, and it gets easier with time. Now here's where I want you to engage with me. I want to hear from you. What's one part of yourself you're ready to accept more fully? Maybe it's your emotions, your desires, your imperfections, or even your history. Whatever it is, share it in the comments below. When you put it into words, you begin to own it, and that's a powerful step toward becoming truly magnetic. Plus, by sharing, you'll inspire others who might be struggling with the same thing. We're building a community here, a space where we can be real, supportive, and grow together. So drop your thoughts below. And if you found value in this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss content designed to help you become the most magnetic version of yourself. Remember, love begins with acceptance, and acceptance begins with you.